Again, almost a year ago to the day. Football's family and friends, their arms and hearts wide open, ready to recognise the deeds of and pay homage to the greatest our great game has ever known. This time, a year ago, another legend was sanctified. Another 8 members were added to the game's most deified stage. The AFL's Hall of Fame. What price do we put on football? It's become big business, no doubt. But what of its heritage? What of its memories? What of the heroes the sport has produced over the past 102 years? Truth be known, we can't place any figure on our great game, just as the deeds of those who have graced the turf are immeasurable in their worth.
Hudson pokes his way into the clear. His kick from 45 yards out is right on line, and he's now just...
They stand apart, immortalized in the pages of history, never to be forgotten. Some names flash from the corners of our memories, others are still household names, even though their time is well past. Their magnificent deeds are still clearly recalled by those who were fortunate enough to be there. Often from an age well before football evolved into the all-conquering giant it is today.
Stopped by Whitten. Oh, the master play on his back on the half-back flank. Look at that mighty hand pass.
But to keep moving into the future, we must not allow ourselves to lose contact with the past. We must feel it, relive it, and remember it, because we were raised and nurtured on it. Most importantly, the foundations of our great game were built on it. Traditions, deeds, treasured moments and memories, these great men are figures of history. They have given us so much. Now is the time for us to give something in return, to remember those who have gone before. Tonight, it is time to say thank you and welcome our new members to the Australian Football Hall of Fame.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Region Ballroom and to one of the truly special nights in Australian rules football, the Australian Football's Hall of Fame, a hallowed place reserved for only the best men to have played this great game of ours. A place belonging to men like Teddy Whitten, Ron Barassi, Coleman and Kazali, Hudson, Matthews, and of course Malcolm Blight. Tonight though, we're going to induct 8 more great men and honour another with the status of football legend, a mark of everlasting recognition for what they gave to our great game. With me for this very special occasion is the chairman of the AFL Commission, Mr. Ron Evans. Ron, welcome to you, and tell us firstly about the significance of these honours.
Sandy, it is an opportunity for those who are involved in the game to recognise the elite, the champions, the legends, not only the players, but the umpires, the coaches, administrators and the media. And it's a great night. We get the opportunity of not only acknowledging new inductees, but also we see the inductees of the past.
Already a wonderful feeling in this room, and we'll be back with the first of the inductees right after this break. Welcome back to the Region Ballroom and the Australian Football Hall of Fame dinner. Our first inductee is someone who is still involved in football, and I don't think he'll mind me saying he's finding life tougher off the field than he ever did on it. He was an Essendon champion, and a former captain, representing the Bombers with distinction on 307 occasions. He's now the coach of St Kilda. The boy from Dimboola, Tim Watson.
And he's looking for Watson. Watson, the first game player for Essendon.
Watson goes in after the ball.
Tim Watson was just 15 years old when he played his first senior game for Essendon.
Gets his kickers, he's unloaded. Oh, great mark. Taken for
A brilliant teenager from Dimboola, he was the third youngest player of all time. Watson's superb ball skills, combined with an explosive burst of pace and perfect balance, earmarked him as a potential superstar. He was part of the baby Bombers, who developed into the potent side that would win the 84 and 85 flags.
They're running right away. There's another one. If he's accurate, I think he's dobbed it. It's Essendon's flag. No doubt about it.
Early in 1986, he was lost to the game for 12 months with a serious knee injury, but fought back to captain the Bombers brilliantly from 89 to 91.
Look at the dasher go. Timmy Watson inside.
This was a breathtaking champion who could influence games with his talent and presence and could play in most key positions.
Here they go. Timmy Watson can draw the player, then fire towards goal. Oh, thank you, Timmy!
Best and fairest in 80, 85, 88 and 89, he first donned a Victorian Guernsey at the age of 19 and played for the state 10 times.
Well played, Timmy Watson. Brilliant. Here's 15th kick and 14 hand passes. Let's see if he can put it through. Beautiful.
Inspirational and universally acclaimed as one of the fairest and finest players to grace our game, Watson broke many fans' hearts when he announced his retirement at the end of 91.
Up against the boundary line, Watson, kick around his shoulders, unbelievable!
In 93, however, the Windy Hill Brains Trust would coax him out of retirement. It would be a fairy tale finish to his magnificent career. Now a veteran, Tim proudly took his place in the grand final team, experiencing the ultimate thrill of a premiership one more time.
He's a marvel, Timmy Watson!
'94 would be his last season, before he was instantly snapped up by Channel 7 as their hugely popular sports newsreader and commentator. Tim took over the senior coaching job at St Kilda in '99. No doubt his courage and determination will help him withstand the many trials of AFL coaching.
He's short, Watson. Shorter again, Mercury. No, Watson gets around. Forced to kick with the left and slings off the side of his boot. Centre half back for Adelaide. Very important possession. Watson's got it. Watson goes for goal. Essendon are home in the preliminary final thanks to a goal kicked by Timmy Watson.
I would just like to say what a humbling experience it is to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. I think that as a boy growing up in the country, I can't quite remember or recall when I fell in love with the game of football, but I know it's been the one real constant in my lifetime to this point. The most humbling thing about being inducted into the Hall of Fame is that in reality I really feel that football is something that gives us so much, and I think that it's something that we probably do because we love it, but I also feel that throughout the course of my career the support that my family's given me has been enormous. It continues to be so. I think that probably for Susie now, supporting me as a coach of AFL football, it's a little bit like living with Humphrey Bear at the moment. I don't have a lot to say most of the time, and I think that any person that saw last Friday night's game at Colonial Stadium and the expression that was caught on Max Hutchinson's face at the conclusion of that game, for anyone that's ever played the game, for anyone that's ever watched the game, for anyone that's loved the game, I think that probably summed up exactly what football means to people. And I thank the panel of the Hall of Fame very much for considering me worthy of what is a great thrill for me and for my family. Thank you very much.
And congratulations to St Kilda coach Tim Watson. Our next inductee is one of the finest players the West has produced. Equally damaging at either end of the ground, he won a Brownlow medal with North Melbourne and went on to lead the West Coast Eagles foray into the big time. He played a total of 230 games and is still a powerful figure in West Australian football. He is Ross Glendinning.
Some dreams.
Glendenning. By golly, how's this guy for a mark? He's picked it up beautifully. A snap for goal. He's put it through. Great mark by Ross Glendenning coming out there as Glendenning playing very well at centre half back.
Ross Glendenning was the perfect blueprint for the modern footballer. A superb physique and great strength combined with his fine marking and long driving kicks made him a champion.
Glendenning's in there, has a snap in towards a goal. Have a look at this forward-looking shot for goal. Have a look at that. Goal! Have a long shot for goal, and look at this kick. What a magnificent goal! Oh, what a ripper!
Towards Glendenning with the sit. One hand off.
A star at East Perth, the Victorian talent scouts were soon at his door. Sadly, Ross had to wait a year for a clearance. That was 1977. And Glendenning would suffer the frustration of missing out on playing in the North Melbourne Premiership team. From the time he arrived, though, this powerfully built footballer would stamp his authority on the game.
40 metres out, he snaps at the ball. It's a high float of the goal. Umpire says it's a goal. Ross Glendenning, 5 goals in a brilliant display of full forward work. And North
Equally suited to centre-half forward or centre-half back, his potent charges out of defence would set up countless attacks and sometimes turn into goals for himself.
Glendenning picks up from the boundary line. He hooks it back. Don't tell me. Oh, boy, what a goal he's got. Glendenning snaps over his shoulder, brings it back. Oh, it's a beautiful shot for goal. A magnificent goal by Glendenning.
The umpire says play on. Glendenning grabs it, lines up the goals. Bang, and I think he put it through for his 8th goal.
Ross won North's Best and Fairest Award in 82 and 83. His outstanding record in 83 would also earn him the ultimate personal accolade, the Brownlow Medal.
Ross Glendenning, 3 cheers. Hip, hip.
After 190 games with the Kangaroos, he returned home in 1987 to captain the West Coast Eagles. Despite now being a veteran, Ross would repay his state with great service at the Eagles. One vivid memory is his magnificent captain's game in the WA side's first final in 1988. Ross Glendenning, a champion in 2 states, a worthy member of the Hall of Fame.
Gorgon at the back as Glendenning, and what a play. Across the face, Glendenning. Glendenning goes up, he doesn't miss many, he's taken that one too. A magnificent footballer.
Thank you very much. And as with Tim, thank you to the Commission, and an absolute pleasure to be here tonight. And I must say, when I received the notification that I had been inducted, I was enormously chuffed and very respectful that I could be inducted to such a great Hall of Fame. Can I just say, I think the best way to surmise what I'd like to say tonight is actually a comment that John made to us as coach of North Melbourne to the player group in that time, and that was that in life generally, or in football, if you need any motivation or desire to go ahead in life, then for goodness sake, do it out of respect for your family. And if you can do something for them because you do respect them, then you have got something to go for. And I think that's rather pertinent tonight that I mention that I'm terribly proud to be here tonight on behalf of my parents, my wife Kerry and our children, and also to be respectful to all those players I played with as teammates, because whilst you can't share this and chop this up into many pieces, I accept this on their behalf, and very proud to be here tonight and be inducted. And I also would like to say to all the other inductees tonight, very well done, and let's enjoy the evening. Thank you very much.
Welcome back to the Regent Ballroom and, of course, the Hall of Fame dinner. A magnificent night. Two of tonight's inductees are sadly no longer with us, but their contributions to football will be long remembered. Geoff was a journalist of the highest calibre. The chief football writer of the West Australian for 27 years, Christian was as accurate as he was insightful. A leading proponent of the national competition, he's regarded by many as one of the key players behind the formation of his beloved West Coast Eagles. Fothergill was a true champion of the black and white. Making the grade as a 17-year-old, Fothergill clinched the first of his 3 Copeland trophies in his very first season. A Nuggety rover, Fothergill played 111 games for the Pies and tied for the Brownlow Medal in 1940. Our next inductee is among us here this evening. His trademark, pace and skill, made him one of the most exciting players of the 60s. He is, of course, Billy Goggin.
Passes across the midfield to Goggin, and away little Goggin goes.
Bill Goggin was born to run. Once a professional sprinter, this magnificent athlete used his lethal weapon to devastating effect in his 248-game career with Geelong. To witness the electric breakaway and dash down the field of this blonde rover was simply one of the most thrilling sights in football in the 60s.
Taken here by Billy Goggin, he breaks clear now. The little fella's going for a run along the English flank. He's still going. Look at this champion go.
Goggin started playing for the Cats in 1958, but the arrival of Graham Polly Farmer from Western Australia in 1962 would herald the beginning of the greatest ruck and rover combination in VFL history.
Up they go, Farmer gets a tap down, goes to Goggin, beautiful, always reliable.
Polly would shoot out perfect hand passes to the eager Goggin, who would then take off, using his formidable ability to dodge and bounce the ball without losing any edge off his blistering speed.
Play on, a goal to the Cats, and the best piece of footy of the day.
The courageous, slightly built rover would then use his ball skills to hit the chest of teammates with his deadly stab passes.
Wade has marked.
Full forward Doug Wade, the beneficiary of many such perfect deliveries.
Goggin got it from the half-forward flank, going for the short pass. Wade, and Wade marked.
A big game performer, Goggin was always a potent force in finals. His finest moment, the 1963 Geelong Premiership. The little man captained the Cats from 68 to 71 and was the club's best and fairest in 67 and 70. He coached the Bulldogs from 1976 until early 1978 and Geelong from 1980 until 1982. Bill played for his state 14 times and skippered Victoria in 1968. Later, he would coach the Big V 16 times. The pride of Geelong, now taking his place in the Hall of Fame.
Skipper Billy Goggin, and there's a fella to let run loose on the forward line.
I remember everything.
Football over the years has certainly been, I feel anyhow, it's been good to me. We certainly put a lot of time in as a family, playing the game just as kids kicking it around. I don't know what we would have done if we hadn't been playing football. I'd like to thank the Geelong Football Club for giving me the opportunity. I'd also like to thank Nolly, my wife, who has been a real stalwart for me. She's stuck with me through times where I've probably, you tend to go off the rails time and time again when you're highly strung playing football. But and she's been a really stalwart for me. But football has been important in my life. It's still important in my life. I still like watching the game. I still think it's a great game to watch. I know we have people that tend to criticise it a little bit, but to me, there's nothing better than watching a great game of football where two sides are pretty evenly matched. And I'm still going to hold in my heart for as long as I live that football is the greatest game that's ever been played. Thank you.
Our next inductee is another proud owner of a Brownlow medal. As an 18-year-old, he joined the Demons and immediately made his mark. A player with silky skills and lightning quick hands, he would play 211 games and grace the Big V 12 times. In 1986, he was lured to Sydney and produced the best football of his career, often under duress with injury. These days, he's a respected media commentator. He is Gerard Healy.
Goes up towards Healy.
He was a polished, refined craftsman of the game. Gerard Healy was 18 when he joined the Melbourne Football Club in 1979. A recruit from Edithvale, Aspendale, this Bayside star loved the beach and surfing. In the 80s, Healy would embody all the best attributes of a quickly changing game. A prolific kick-getter with quicksilver hands and a creative football brain.
A great mark to the Demons, Gerard Healy.
Initially, he would be lauded as a forward, kicking 77 majors in 1982 to be the D's leading goal kicker. Gerard's first appearance in the Big V came in 1982. 2 years later, he won the best and fairest for Melbourne.
And he's put it through. Kicked off the ground for Victoria by Healy for a goal.
He would grace the Big V 11 more times in his career.
Play on Healy with a long shot at goal. It looks good. It'll be a goal. What a ripper.
By 1986, this stylish crowd pleaser was exactly what the razzmatazz regime of Dr. Edelston's Sydney Swans wanted.
Danaher over to Healy, another goal.
Healy and Greg Diesel Williams would create a formidable partnership, lifting the Swans to finals appearances in 86 and 87.
Yes, it's a goal. The family needed one.
Revered in the harbour city for his extraordinary match-winning skills, Gerard would win the Swans best and fairest in 86, 87 and 88.
The winner of the 1988...
Unsurpassed in 1988, Healy won the Brownlow medal and was universally acclaimed as the best player in the competition.
Rassy took me from being probably a soft player into a bit more of a hardened player, and Tommy turned me into a more hard player and much more consistent player. Thank you to all those guys.
Chronic wrist injuries forced him into retirement at 29. A major talent prematurely forced from the football stage he dominated so often.
Running into an open goal, fires, and it's a goal.
Later, Gerard would join forces with the legend.
When you begin your journey as a footballer, excuse me, the one thing that you want to do is do what most of you distinguished champions out there have done, and that is play in a grand final and win premierships. Unfortunately, for some of us, we don't get that privilege and that opportunity. So I guess it's always left a void. It's always been difficult to just absolutely be totally at ease with your football career because you haven't won a premiership or played in a premiership. So when I was told about 6 weeks ago that I was going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, it was such a gratifying moment for me because I could feel this dream almost just being evacuated from my body, and I've been floating on air since, I've got to say, and I get the feeling that dream will never return because the void, whilst this induction will never replace playing in a premiership, it certainly has replaced that slightly empty feeling that you leave the game with if you haven't achieved what we all set out to do. And I guess if I can just leave you with one final word, I think I can share this with you because the film said I had a bit of a love for surfing. Well, last night I got in the car and after getting permission from the boss at home, I was allowed to drive to Port Campbell, where the waves are capable of doing all sorts of damage to you, and in fact capable of making it your last surf. Well, just before I went to bed last night at about 11:45, I said to my brother who was beside me, I said, Matthew, if by chance this wave at Port Campbell is my last, I want you to go to the Hall of Fame and tell people I died a happy man. I appreciate being inducted, and it is a great privilege. Congratulations to all the other inductees tonight and to all of the other members of the Hall of Fame, and thanks for your time tonight.